Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. So I'm Poppy Dowell, Head of 5G Acceleration for Spring, and I'm joined today by two of our challenge owners on our manufacturing program, Colin Evison, who's Head of Innovation at Nuttall, and Ian Bouquet Taylor, who's Operations Director at AE Aerospace. So today what we're going to do is just give you all an overview of the program and Nuttall and AE Aerospace involvement in it and why they've chosen to be involved in it. And then we're going to open up to answer any questions that you might have about the program. So Spring is made up of a consortium of partners, Wire UK, where I work, O2, Deloitte, Digital Catapult, West Midlands 5G, and we're sponsored by GCMS and GBS LEP. We set out with a mission about, just over a year ago now to help organisations of all sizes understand and harness the power that 5G can give them. To do this, we designed an accelerator programme to enable us to work with large organisations like AE Aerospace and Nuttall, and then to come up with challenges that 5G could really help them solve, and then to enable them to work collaboratively with innovators like yourselves with creative solutions to their challenges, where 5G can both enhance and enable your solution in some way. So for this program, we've obviously focused on a sector where we believe 5G can make a huge impact for the future of delivery, which is manufacturing. So our partners we've worked with to identify the specific challenges they're facing where new innovation of 5G can have an impact are Nuttall and the 5G AMC2 consortium, BRE and Atticor, AE Aerospace, BAE Systems, and Make UK. So I'm now going to hand over to Colin to introduce Nuttall and their involvement in the programme.
Thanks very much, Poppy. So firstly, just a few words about Nuttall. You may or may not have seen our construction sites around the UK. We're part of the Royal BAM Group, and Nuttall is the operating company that delivers civil engineering infrastructure. So we've got a selection of our projects on the screen here. We do a huge amount of work in the rail sector, and that's a view from Highland Railway Enhancement Project we did a couple of years ago. We also recently undertook the expansion of London City Airport. We're working currently at Thames Tideway Tunnel in London, and also we're working right down in the south of the globe at Antarctica on a framework for British Antarctic Survey. So it just really to give you an understanding of the huge variety of work that we undertake in the UK and further afield. Next slide, please, Poppy. So our involvement in the Spring programme has come about through the 5G network project that we're delivering as part of the DCMS 5G Create programme. We sit in the industrial work stream of projects, and we've got two particular locations where we're deploying private 5G standalone networks. One of them is a construction site up in Shetland, at the far north of that map you can see there. And the second one is our regional office in Kilsyth, which is midway between Edinburgh and Glasgow. Thank you, Poppy. So the project consortium is led by BAM. The consortium members are also Building Research Establishment, BRE, and Atticor, who are a core software provider for 5G networks. We're supported by our supply chain partners in Pleo and Acceleran, and then subsequently there we've got also suppliers of software and hardware. We've got Fluido, Benetel, and FNet who supply into Acceleran. On the right-hand side, we've got some different exemplars that we're looking to explore as part of our 5G network, and you can see the different topics that we're looking to cover. But essentially, we're looking for anything that could possibly benefit manufacturing. So although we are a construction business, we also consider ourselves to be a manufacturing business. So using one of the two test beds, either at Kilsyth and Shetland, we can offer a variety of environments that we can use to try out and help develop new solutions that can make use of the 5G networks. Thanks, Poppy.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Colin. So we'll now pass to Ian to just give an overview about AE Aerospace.
Okay, so we're an SME based in Birmingham. We're a business of about 65 people, and we supply into the civil aerospace, but also the defence aerospace and defence marine markets. And we're a machine to print supplier. So basically our customers give us their drawings and we machine to those. Now, some of the stuff we make is 50 and 60 years old. We're making for old aircraft that are still flying around the world. So what we try to do for our customers is to re-engineer that using modern methods to give us a much more efficient way of manufacturing. We've been on this site since 2018, and that gave us more space, more activity. But we have a growth plan. We're currently at £5 million turnover, and our growth plan sees us right to 15 million, and we can see that coming. And what we're trying to do really is to use 5G to enhance our productivity. So we have a concept called the glass factory. The glass factory to us is effectively offering our customers a way to look into our business without phoning up or without having to hold meetings to understand where their parts are. And there's two elements to this. One is we spend quite a lot of time with our customers looking at meetings of going through line by line where their parts are in our processes, which we want to stop doing. And secondly, our customers are constantly asking what availability and capacity we've got further out, because within our sector, capacity is actually quite a limited thing. So if you move on to the next slide, please, Poppy, we'll go into more detail. So we've split our business down into running 3 use cases around 5G, all aimed at pushing those boundaries. The first one is machine servitization, and that's to try and offer the customer the ability to buy time rather than to send us a drawing and then we make a part and fill the time up. What we're looking at is saying, well, rather than your limitation from the customer's point of view is, I need to know in September, December, or June of next year whether I can get 200 hours of your machining on a particular machine. We can use the 5G to bring data back from our machines to our central hub and update our capacity plans with a 2-year window out to our customers. So they can then dial in, and we have a portal system in development at the moment on the programme where the customer will dial in, a bit like Facebook. You see one instance, they see the whole thing, but you only see the bits that are relevant to you. So they can see from their point of view what capacity is on their cell or in our machine shop as a whole, and they can also look at their components against the whole plan. To do that, we're having to digitise our machines, we're having to digitise the shop floor, and with multiple machines around the shop floor, we've got a lot of data flying around. So the whole point is that the more items we add to this package on a standard Wi-Fi network, for instance, it would slowly but surely slow down. With 5G, we don't get that. There isn't an issue in terms of the capacity of the network. Our second use case is around asset management and calibration. So from our point of view, we want to know where our stock is at any one time physically within the building. We make an awful lot of components that are quite small, and a small cardboard box gets lost in 19,000 square feet, even though we're not a massive site. By using initially wideband real-time location sensors, and as the technology moves through 5G, moving to 5G sensors, we'll be able to put a device onto each box that basically tells us where it is within 10 centimetres in the business. Additionally, we use an awful lot of gauging, and if you don't know what the gauging is, but basically imagine what we call a plug gauge, which is basically a bar that goes into a hole to tell you it's the right size or not the right size. We currently issue those in a calibrated state, so we make sure they are correct dimensionally before we issue them. But what we don't do is we don't monitor how many times they've been used. So we've only used them twice, and then we issue them again and calibrate them again. So if we can count those uses by putting a tag on them and picking them up and monitoring where they are, I not only know where they are in the business, I know if they're being used, and I know how frequently they're being used, so I can monitor that. And I know if the number of times they've been used, so I can then reduce that calibration frequency down from the process. Equally, if I have a gauge being used more than it should, I can send a flag to my quality team to go out and look because there might be a problem on the line. And equally, if it's not being used as often, I can do exactly the same because it either means it's not being used or there's another issue the other way around in terms of this, we just stopped. And finally, with an accelerometer on that gauge, on those gauges, if we drop it, I can pick up that movement as it's obviously a fast shock detection, and I can send somebody from quality out to go and check that that gauge is still in a good condition. It does happen from time to time, but not frequently. If you move on to the next slide, Poppy. Thank you. So from a quality and inspection point of view, the third use case is an AI learning camera system. So particularly with the 3 images at the bottom, these are just examples of the sort of things we do. But if you imagine the product on the right-hand side there, the face you can see with all the small holes around the outside, for instance, has a surface finish requirement. So we're looking for scratches or slight surface marks that, to a certain extent, are very difficult to see with the naked eye. We'll then send those out for coatings and platings. So our camera system effectively does a spot the difference. It literally takes hundreds of little images at very high resolution, stitches them together, and creates a map of the product and identifies in there where, against a dictionary of faults, it can see an error. And over this time, because this is a self-learning system, we're taking the knowledge that's in the inspector's head out of that and putting it into the system, saying that one there is an issue, that one there isn't. So it will learn where it can and can't have and the tolerances around those issues. We then send that component out to our subcontractor to plate or coat or paint, bring it back in, and we check that surface again to make sure it hasn't degraded in any way, shape or form, because that can be a major problem between us and our customer. The use of this for us is threefold. One, it means I don't rely on a single inspector who may have a bad day, who may have not be feeling very well, or may just be feeling belligerent because he's had a bad day, and make a different decision. Equally, if I get to the point where that inspector has either left and we need to train another one, the knowledge is in the system rather than in the head of one person. Secondly, I create a permanent record that I can share with my supplier and my customer to prove to them that I've shipped it in a good condition and that they can see it in a good condition. The upshot of this would be we'd have 2 cameras, one either end of the process, so either here with us and there with the customer, for instance, so the customer can scan it and compare the images to make sure it hasn't been damaged in transit. So that's what we're currently doing at the moment. That's okay, Poppy?
Perfect, thanks so much, Ian. So now I'm just going to kind of talk to you a little bit about Spring and our program, and then I'm going to give you an overview of what we do at Wira as well. So Spring was created as the first UK's first 5G commercial application accelerator. So we saw kind of a need in the market for a program that was actually helping companies not only innovate and come up with new kind of solutions around 5G, but actually has an end customer and a place in the market for it to go. So there was already quite a lot around the research side of things. So that's what we focused on, and we did so by bringing together the demand organizations such as BAM Nuttall and AE Aerospace with innovators. Wrong one. So as I mentioned earlier, Spring is made up of a consortium of partners. So you've got O2, Deloitte, Wira, Catapult, Digital Catapult, West Midlands 5G, and then we're sponsored by Department for Culture, Media and Sport and GBS LEP. And each one of those partners brings something really unique and valuable to the program in a different way so that we can offer the most value to the companies that go through it. So a little bit more about Wira. So Wira is an open ecosystem where we have 7 hubs operating across 10 countries at the moment. And we bring together sort of a network of different people and different organizations to help scale innovation in the market. So since inception, we have currently invested in over 850 startups. We have currently got over 500 companies in our portfolio and has over 60 exits. We've got 139 of those companies are working with Telefonica. The combined value of just 25 of them is around 50 million. We've invested ourselves around 200 million in companies, and there's a portfolio value of almost 2 billion. Within our UK portfolio alone, we've invested in 300 startups. We've accelerated 300 startups, 200 of which we've invested in, and they have a portfolio value of £1 billion. We've managed to get 149 trials and contracts with Telefonica alone, which has generated 20 million for the business. And this is just an example of some of the startups that we've had in our portfolio that you may not have heard of. The program structure for Spring it's a 3-month program. We start off with a welcome week where we set out some really bespoke OKR settings. So we want to make sure that the program for everybody who goes through it is as valuable as possible. So instead of giving you kind of the traditional, structured accelerator program, we really focus on making it as bespoke to the companies going through as possible. So these first kind of 2 weeks are critical to understanding everybody's needs and how we can kind of focus on developing those things. Throughout the program, you'll get certain access and support. So we have business and technical workshops that we will provide you. So you get one-to-one working sessions as well as kind of coaching sessions that you can get access to. We do a whole load of business development activities with our challenge owners, as well as with, the likes of Deloitte and O2 as well, access to their customers. We'll also create a bespoke technology stream around your 5G solution. So in the first 2 weeks, we'll sit down with our digital catchable technologists, and they'll come up with a plan for the next 3 months on how you can take that 5G solution through to a demonstrator at the end. We have a huge investor network across not only the UK, but kind of globally, which we can help you get access to if you're looking to raise. We'll host some events throughout the program to give you access to networking, which the main one will be the demo day, which is at the end, and it will really allow you to showcase off your product to customers and investors in the market. So the program is a hybrid program. It's 3 days a week. The majority of the content is delivered virtually with all the business development side of stuff. However, some of the tech stuff does need to be on site in our Birmingham space in iCentrum. And we deliver it from Tuesday to Thursday across those weeks. We've tried to make it as, like I said, as bespoke as possible, but also reasonably flexible, because we know that you will have businesses which you're trying to run at the same time. So we don't want to take up all of your days those days. We want to just provide you the valuable content in a way that doesn't detract from what you're also trying to deliver. Let me the slides come across. So, the value proposition for the startups going through is that you get access to our investment network, you get access to the consortium customer network. So if you think about Deloitte and O2's reach alone, that's almost everybody in the UK that you could want to access. They will have a connection in there somehow. So it's a massive consortium customer network. You get access to our acceleration services and community. So we also have a huge network of mentors, coaches that we can leverage to give you kind of support throughout the way. You'd also get access to some of Wyra's startup offers, which will be kind of, cloud vouchers, etc. You'll get access to our test beds. So that's our 5G private networks across the 3 different test beds that we have. So we have one in Coventry, one in Wolverhampton, and the one which this program will be based out of is our flagship hub in Birmingham. You'll get support from our digital catapult technical experts. You hopefully get a potential proof of concept with one or more of the challenge owners if there's a really good fit there, and you'll work with them along the way to see if there's a fit. Deloitte put in sort of £100,000 worth of consultancy, and then you obviously get access to the accelerator facility. So let's just delve a little bit more into the challenges that we're specifically looking for this program. What's my other laptop system battery's running out? So we focus on 2 main challenges. So the first one is plant operations. So we're looking for innovators that will leverage 5G for these use cases. So remote operations, which is operation of equipment and machinery remotely. Automatic visual validation, so validating the end result against a digital design, defect detection, and product quality assurance, which is similar to some of the use cases Ian's just actually been through. Asset tracking, so accurate location tracking of equipment, tools, of people on site. Machine time servitization, so wireless connectivity between machines to allow for high volumes of data capture. Remote working, enabling workers to work efficiently at a remote site. Worried that my laptop is just going to die in a second, sorry. And our second key challenge is site and factory monitoring. So we're looking for innovative solutions that can leverage 5G connectivity to coordinate logistics and operations around the construction site to optimize efficiency and accuracy through the following use cases. So remote monitoring, so machine monitoring and diagnostics, site surveillance, so accurate autonomous surveys of the site, and site monitoring, accurate monitoring of remote and pop-up offices. The application timeline and how the program will run is applications opened on July 5th, so they're open at the moment. Applications will close on August 20th. There is an assessment day on September the 2nd, where we will give you the opportunity to pitch, and then we'll ask you questions about your solution. After that, we will select the startups for the program. Accelerator then starts on October 11th, and it runs for 3 months, ending on January 7th. So if you get through to the assessment day, what we do is companies will apply using the form attached, and we'll share the link again at the end of this. In the assessment day, what we do is we then invite you to do a 3-minute pitch, followed by some Q&A from the challenge owners and the consortium. And the things that we really are looking at in that day is your team. Do you have the capabilities and the experience to be delivering this? What's your problem and solution fit? Is there really a problem in the market, and how have you gone about solving that? What's the business model and the traction that you currently have? So who are you working with? Who are your current customers? And does the business model really make sense? What's your product? What does it look like? What does it do? 5G readiness. Is it something that is ready to go onto our test bed and have that 5G development? And what's your unique selling point in the market? So that's come to the end of our session for today, but we're now open up to the audience to ask any questions that they might have of us, of myself and Colin and Ian. I'm more than happy to answer. And to apply, here are the links that you guys need to use to apply. I'll leave them up for a second whilst people pop their questions in the box, and I'll stop sharing so that you can see us whilst we answer the questions. People a second. On the stage chat. Okay, I was looking at the wrong one. Okay, perfect. So there's a question here for Ian. Ooh, hang on, let me go. Loads. How do you detect when your parts are being used?
So it's not actually with the parts are being used. It's more we're detecting two things. One is the boxes themselves, the parts are stored in. So we transport them around the building. And that's using currently a wideband real-time location sensor system, but that's a test bed to ourselves to actually extend that into 5G. So we're looking for 5G sensors, positioning sensors, take us to that point. And they are, at the moment, they're about the size of a watch, because that's the technology that's out there at the moment. So it sort of fits on the end of a pallet or a small box. Our boxes are bread bin sized most of the time. Basically it transmits at the location sensor system has a series of beacons around the building that effectively triangulate the position of everything. So we'll send a signal out looking for instance, box 28. That's a number. Box 28 is a number of the target. It'll ping back to us, I'm here, and we'll be able to, within about 10 centimeters, understand where it is in 3 dimensions in the factory based on those home beacon positions. It works a bit like GPS, but it's not GPS. For the gauge, exactly the same thing. It's just that we track the use of the gauge with the same technology. What we're looking for, really, I suppose, is how small can that get and how reliable can that get? Because the limitation at the moment is battery. So if you start using 5G sensors at the moment, which aren't readily available in the scale we need, the more you scale them down, you're limited by the battery size you can fit in and how long that battery will last.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Ian. So Hector's got a question. In what ways can my company engage with the different consortium partners? I think that's probably for me to answer. So for Wire UK, we kind of lead the program, and we'll be there one-to-one with you every day. So it's really easy to engage with us. We're kind of the ones, your main point of contact, and we'll facilitate working with the other consortium partners. The things that the other ones can provide you. So Digital Catapult, their expertise is very much on the technical side of things, and they'll support you kind of with your 5G development across the program. And you'll see actually a lot of them, they're really involved. And we've got a couple of Digital Catapult innovation leads as well who help us deliver the program. In terms of Deloitte, then their focus is very much on, helping you with your business strategy and your use cases, and then also making sure that they are opening doors to their customer network. So we'll help facilitate those sessions, and you'll sit down with them one-to-one as well and work out if there are any specific customers where they can open some doors, or if there are any. We always say, if you don't get, you don't ask. So if there's anything that you want or any customers you want introductions to, it's very much kind of an ask, and we'll see what we can do with them as well. And O2 equally, then you'll have sessions where you can pitch to them, where they'll sit down with you and see if there are any customers that are quite, that they know are interested in the kind of solution that you've got. And equally, they have a breadth of knowledge around kind of the 5G and the spectrum that they can support you with as well. So that's in terms of engaging with consortium partners. Helena's asked, are startups required to license their IP? No, we don't take any IP. That's all yours. We help you develop it, but we don't, we want to help you commercialize. We don't want to take that from you. So no, don't need to license any IP to us. If you go onto a proof of concept with one or more of our challenge owners, that might be a different conversation, but that's, towards the end. Mehmet, so we have a solution that is currently implemented in about 20 factories in another country. Can we apply to this program with this solution? You absolutely can. Yeah, we're looking for companies who have a product and actually, they may be delivering already. However, there's an angle where 5G can enhance and enable it. So the fact that you're working in another country is, actually is not necessarily a bad thing, as long as there's a 5G angle and it fits with the challenges that we've got here. Great session, can you share? Absolutely, okay. Okay, so what aspect of cybersecurity, what OT cybersecurity standards are you looking to work towards to ensure the solution is secure and ready for future deployment? I don't know, Ian or Colin, if you've got some thoughts on this.
I can pitch in for what ours are. Ours will work around Cyber Essentials Plus. We're not required to achieve any of the external standards at the moment from any of our customers. We do have work coming through that will fit in the realms of ITAR, so Cyber Essentials Plus supports that.
Perfect. And Colin, is it similar for you guys?
Yeah, so I guess maybe just to sort of reiterate, ours is a private standalone 5G network, so it's just be like an extension of our own BAM IT infrastructure. So therefore, it comes under the information security controls that we already have in the business. We're certified to ISO 27001, for example, and we've got specialists within the business that can discuss any cyber security concerns or issues and offer some advice as well.
Great. So Hector, what happens after the program ends? Are we working with a consortium partners to develop my solution? So we're really keen as Spring and Wyra to make sure that it's not just 3 months and then we kind of watch you fly off into the world. We want to make sure that we're still supporting our alumni. So there's multiple ways in which we do that. So one is that all companies get kind of put into a Wyra alumni network. So you'll have access to all the other founders and support through that and any kind of events and stuff that we have going on. Equally, the part of the point of the program is that you should have developed some really strong relationships through the 3 months, so that if there's a solution, if there's a fit, then you absolutely will continue kind of working with, our challenge owners, Ian, Colin, also our consortium partners, so Deloitte and O2. It wouldn't just be that there's a 3-month cutoff and then nothing else happens. And ideally, after the program, you would develop into a proof of concept with one or more challenge owner. And I guess if there's any other, from your side, Ian, Colin, after the program, what's your hopes?
I can't go first for a change. I'll think about it.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Yeah, I mean, so one of the things we're very keen on doing, and also DCMS are keen, is to see how we can disseminate the information that's relevant to the whole of the construction industry, for example. So what we want to do is to try and get some of these solutions deployed on our sites at Kilsyth and Shetland, and basically open our doors and show people you know, we're there to provide a platform for these new solutions and what they can offer to industry, really. You know, we want to be interested to see how we can improve the way we deliver projects. But the key task of our project is to show how we can improve the construction industry as a whole in the UK.
And I think I can add to that. You know, we're in exactly the same position. You know, our partnership through this back to DCMS is, you know, we're not here just for us. Obviously, we, you know, like everybody else that is these things, there's a level of just for us, but we have an open and sharing view from where we're at. My thought process is that, you know, so on our current model, we are having open days to bring people in from outside to show them what we've done and how it's working. And we're expecting other manufacturers and maybe even competitors to come and see that. And I don't see that's a problem, because this is about, Colin sort of iterated it as well, this is about the industries getting better. It's not just about us, because to a certain extent we rely on them and they rely on us. And if the sector gets better across those sectors and lifts, and manufacturing as a whole, whether it's aerospace or it's BAM Nuttall and construction projects, then it doesn't really matter. So if we find something that works really well for us, you know, let's say the sensor tracking works really well for us, if it hasn't been tested in Collins, there's no reason why BAM Nuttall couldn't pick up that technology and use it to track assets around their sites and their equipment. So I think it's about where we can perhaps see where we are today, but where the potential is for that for somebody else. And somebody may have, you know, a huge site, you know, that needs hundreds of thousands of these activities. So I see it that if we don't share, we're doing the wrong thing. So we're very open to get people involved in doing that.
Yeah, perfect. And I have a question for both of you, actually. How have you kind of historically or previously worked with innovators and startups? And are there any things that companies should perhaps consider when working with organizations like yourselves?
Yeah, shall I go first? Yeah, so we've undertaken some various innovation projects over the last few years. Some of them have been quite structured through the Innovate UK different programs. Some of them have been led by startups and SMEs, and we've been part of the supporting consortium. So for example, we recently provided a test bed at London City Airport. So the sensors that the startup was developing and the platform, their analysis platform, could be tested in a real world environment. Also, we're very open to just basically talking to different startups who want to maybe have access to our people to maybe test out some of the theories that they're coming up with. So, you know, they might have an early stage development product and they need to get some user testing undertaken to get some feedback to inform how it works. So yeah, we can engage on lots of different aspects.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
I think it's similar but different. I think one of the things I'd say is, it's going to depend on the type of organisation you're working with and what level of resource they're putting in this project. So in a very large organisation, you may have people dedicated to it. What we've talked to our current partners and people working with us is understand that we are not 100% on this project. We're trying to run a business at the same time. So you have to bear with us sometimes and cope with that. Equally, have the brief, stick to the brief, then look for opportunities. And if you're going to do something, start small, test it out, and then expand it. Because we've had a couple of opportunities where somebody said, right, I'll put 1 billion of this and 1,000 of that and 100 of that, and it's like, oh, hang on, I can't absorb, I can't stop my business today to run this test bed. So it's, you know, to give you an example, we've got 19 CNC machines, and we've actually only engaged 5 in the project that we're running at the moment, because that's all I can cope with, and it's where I can get the best return on the investment for. So there's that bit. I'd say the other thing is continue looking for opportunities, but don't expect them to be absorbed straight away. Yeah. Look at what the opportunities are, and then go, okay, maybe there's a second project here or a second use case here that we can go beyond. Can we fit that in? Can we do something with it? And keep conversing with the people who are sponsoring on that to make sure that if you do need to move away from where you were, you've got the agreement to do so, because other people and other stakeholders are expecting things out of these projects.
Yeah, perfect. So Helena's asked, how is the program run, virtual or physical? So it's a hybrid program. It's 3 days a week. We do most of the business development and the coaching and the support on that side of things, acceleration services, if you like, virtually. However, so the brunt of the technical development that you need to do, and you know, obviously to get access to the 5G test bed, it have to be in person and physical. So it's not a huge amount of in person, but it is a hybrid program. Graham has asked if Colin, if you would be able to tell us a bit more about the nature of your Shetland construction projects.
Okay, so our client is SSE, and they're currently developing a wind farm on Shetland. But also, one of the challenges that Shetland isn't connected to the national grid. So we're building a converter substation on Shetland to convert the alternating current from the wind turbines to direct current, so it can be transmitted through a subsea cable, which is constructed by others. And then we've got another substation on the mainland in the far north of Scotland, where it's converted back to AC for transmission to the grid. So we're providing the civil engineering infrastructure for the converter substation on Shetland.
Nice, perfect. So Isabel's asked, Ian and Colin, what is one key learning from working with solution providers that you have?
I'll start this one, I think. The very simple is listen to them because they know a damn sight more than you do. And make sure they listen to you because you know a damn sight more than they do about your business. Yeah.
Nice. Colin?
It's probably to have some tenacity that, you know, we know it can be frustrating, sort of people knocking on doors and you know, how do they find, you know, they see the name of the organisation, and how do you talk to the right person? But I guess it's to have a compelling offering, to think about the relevance to that particular industry that you're talking to, and I guess just keep on trying, I think.
Perfect. And this one kind of links nicely into that, actually. So what challenges do you have during the implementation of innovation projects? And I presume, like, you know, working with solution providers.
Pace. Up against a government time project that's got certain key milestones, and then realizing that other people outside in the big wide world who are trying to support you may not have the same pace aspirations as that project needs to have, or the same drivers to make that happen. That's the first one. And I'll do this from an SME point of view. It may be different for a large company like BAM Nuttall. From our point of view, it's going back to that we fed this back into groups as well. Don't ask for things that we just don't know. You know, so I've been asked for we bought some Acer PCs, and I'll use the brand, they're standalone PCs there. Yep. And we were asked to go to Acer to ask for the detailed technical specification of the various, and it just went over my head, and it's like, and if I ask them, what are they going to do if they haven't got it? You're going to tell them they can't make products, because a lot of what we buy is commercial off the shelf, and then you make it work within 5G. So I can't. I'm 65 people, and I'm not going to knock on the door of a large organisation like the Dowells and IBMs this world and say, "Give me my information, else I can't run my project." It's just going to tell me to go away, places. So, but yeah. So, and that's probably goes back into, you know, when you're working with organisations who are actually trying to implement and push things forward. Have as much data around you ready as you can, technical information, because the big boys who are running the project at the other end, working with DCMS, want to have that for proof, but they don't understand when you can't get it. Simple as that, really.
Makes sense. Colin?
Yeah, and I think, as Ian mentioned, the timetable is important. In terms of the 5G Create programme, there's a drop dead date at the end of March next year of when the project comes to a close, and that has to include all the wrap-up and the write-up documentation for that. Other challenges, I guess, is probably identifying people who are willing to listen and to help out. The good news is that we've already done that, especially with the construction team at Shetland. You know, there's a real pull to try new things that can help develop what they do on that project, because they see that there's a follow-on series of similar projects in the future, and you know, they are really keen to try some new solutions.
Perfect. So Hector's got a question. Thank you for your answers. What are you looking for in the startups you're looking to work with?
Shall I go first? I think what we're looking for is an element of maturity. So I think you touched on it, that this is an accelerator program, not an incubator. So we are looking for things that are ready to be tried in a real world environment. We admit that it might not be a fully mature solution, that we can help be part of that development process. But I think, yeah, we're looking for more than a pitch deck, if you were. I want to see something in my hand that I can deploy on the site and take benefit of the 5G capability that we're deploying.
Yeah, so more than just theoretical, there's something there. Yeah, perfect. And Ian?
I would say about a dose of realism, understanding of what you can and can't deploy, and that your very high technical solution that may put a man on the moon may not be the most practical solution to deploy within a business like mine or Colin's, to be fair. But we all have very nice, high-level, fanciful ideas, but this needs to be grounded in Colin's comment about it being more ready for production. It's what's the application doing and how is it going to react in the real world. I don't want to run science experiments that really don't give us any benefit whatsoever.
Perfect. So Mehmet's asked, besides to 5G, can our solution support other communication protocols? Because sometimes 5G is a more expensive solution for some industries. So absolutely, we're looking for, I think like Colin and Ian have actually just said, we're looking for people who've got solutions which it works now and it works without 5G. However, 5G has a capability to enhance or enable something additional for that solution. So we don't necessarily want somebody who, without 5G, it can't happen because 5G isn't widespread. It's not, deployed across all sites. We want something which is real now, works on other communication protocols, but with 5G, it can just do more or do something additional. I don't know if Ian or Colin, you have anything else to add?
Sorry, Colin, I would say it's exactly that. I think the reality is that if I wanted to do mine on a very small scale, most of what I'm doing could be done through a Wi-Fi network or a 4G network. The element comes when you start to scale up. So the multiple machines, the multiple sets of data, the high resolution images can't be managed well on those other networks. So even though in the small scale testing, it can be done without 5G, it's the test is really pushing the lab back, doing more and more and more. And I guess in large construction sites that Colin may have on some of his, it'd be a similar thing.
Yeah, so an example of an existing supplier relationship we have at the moment, there's a local drone services supplier on Shetland. Currently, they've been providing some still images on a fairly regular weekly basis for the project. And we've not really been able to do much more than that due to the connectivity issues. But hopefully, once we've got the 5G network up and running in the next few weeks, we'll be able to live stream from that drone to enable people to have access into the project for progress updates or to resolve technical queries and so on. So I guess that's an example of, we're looking for the enhancement using the 5G. It's the first time that we've done it within our business, and it's, I think there's very few examples of where a 5G network's been used on a construction site. And so we're not saying that it's going to be readily scalable in the immediate future, but it's all about trying out and see what the art of the possible is. We want to be able to iron out all the technical issues and the adoption of solutions like this, so that when the 5G networks are more widely spread in manufacturing as a whole, then obviously these solutions can be scaled more readily.
Yeah, perfect. And so Isabel's asked if she can apply to the programme if my solution is outside of the listed challenge areas. So I think actually if you look at the website, we have a section which we've called other or wildcards, which basically is any other solution. I think, and Ian and Colin, correct me if you're wrong, but we don't necessarily know all of the challenges that could be solved or all of the, innovations that are out there. So we've identified two clear areas where actually there's challenges and we know 5G plays a space. But if your solution is outside of that, but still solves a manufacturing issue, but it's something we haven't even kind of crossed our minds, we definitely still want to hear from you. And
Yeah, maybe if I just add to that. So although, you know, at first you might think that construction and aerospace components are very diverse industries. I mean, the sort of thing that Ian's talked about there, we've both got pieces of equipment that we use, and it's calibrated equipment. We've got lots of different components and materials from different supply chain partners. We need to know where they are, how they're being used. So yeah, you just need to think a bit more globally of how a manufacturing site might operate. You know, there's security aspects, there's the efficiency aspects, there's the logistics of how you keep track and understand how your people work, as well as your equipment is operated. So I guess, yeah, maybe I think we put a few things on the website of how we see the challenge being defined. But I think, yeah, we're open to the wider aspects of how it might benefit manufacturing as a whole.
Perfect. So Mehmet's asked, do the companies that are party to the programme seek solutions related to the areas in the programme? Are there any cases of being a buyer to our project? I can have a go at that. So we obviously have specific challenges that we are seeking solutions to, which we've shared, but like we've just said, if they're within the same industry, but it's a challenge we perhaps haven't thought of, we're still interested. And are there any cases of being a buyer to our project? So we, not only the challenge owners will perhaps work on a POC with you at the end of the programme, but equally we will be throughout the programme making connections through our consortium partners to other potential buyers and customers to your project or to your solution. I think that answers, does that answer your question, Mehmet? Hopefully. Perfect. So if we could just wrap up there. So if we just go around, and if each of you can just give a conclusion to what you're looking for, how to find you, and then I'll sort of talk about the programme in general. So yeah, Ian?
So I think what we're looking for really is things that enhance beyond where we are today with our current 3 use cases. So we have the imaging system for the quality checking of the system. I probably, if I could wave a magic wand and have one, I could make mobile and would do multiple products, but you know, that's me waving magic wands. The second one is working to reduce and have smaller sensors for us so that we can fit them on as many boxes and gauges as possible, because that reduces it. Or having some other system in which I can identify that the gauge is being used, so you're looking at that, or the box is being moved. And then the other one is realistically anything that's going to help me enhance understanding the feedback from my machinery and equipment. I've got monitors on the machines, but if it's giving me real-time data that helps me update my the problem of me is that updating the schedule in real time and then moving that schedule to the right if it needs to, if things have gone wrong, so I can understand what my capacity has moved to become and how I need to replan my shop. So things around that work really well for me within the concept. But other than that, come surprise me with the things that people have got in their magic boxes of tricks that people develop that I've never thought of.
Amazing. Colin?
Yeah, and I think we've gone some way in defining what we're looking for on the website there in terms of the site and factory monitoring and the plant operations. But actually, yeah, don't if you've got something that doesn't quite fit within those guidelines that you think might be of value to us, we'd much rather hear it rather than you sort of hesitate whether you want to apply or not. So I think, yeah, we want to see as many applications as possible coming through.
Yeah, perfect. And from my point of view, we're looking for companies which have something already in the market that can be really enhanced or enabled by 5G, and that can make real impact with the additional 5G value. And we're looking for, like I said in our selection, we're looking for things which are scalable. They have a real they can get a real piece in the market, and there's real capacity to scale, not just in the UK but globally. And also that there's a team behind it who have the capabilities and the kind of experience to deliver it. So those are kind of the things that we're looking for. I think we've already shared in the chat the link to our website. So it's on the Spring website under Programs and Manufacturing. You can see all of the challenges in a bit more detail. And equally, if anybody wants to have a further chat about their solution and its fit with the program before they do apply, then the link to book with me is also in the chat just there. And I'm more than happy to have, you know, a 15-minute chat with anybody who's got a few more questions that we didn't manage to answer in this session. So I'll just wrap up there and say thank you so much, Ian and Colin, for joining me today. It was a really great session. It's really interesting to hear, you know, some of the stuff that you're doing in your industries as well. So thank you so much.